It's a site with a lot of history and a lot to offer the family. I'm WEIU's Lacey Spence, and in this episode of Take a Hike, I'll share why you and your family should visit Lincoln Memorial Garden and Nature Center.
Take a Hike on WEIU is supported by Rural King, America's farm and home store, camping supplies, kayaks, fishing and pet supplies, and more. Find your store and more information regarding Rural King at ruralking.com.
It's almost impossible to imagine life without internet today. It keeps us connected to work, school, and loved ones, no matter where they are. Fidium Fiber Internet now serves over 1 million locations, providing reliable, consistent service that keeps these connections strong. From vibrant cities to quiet rural areas, fiber broadband is a key driver of economic growth. Fidium is dedicated to supporting communities and enhancing lives through this essential technology. Learn more at fidiumfiber.com.
Hi, I'm WEIU's Lacey Spence. I've lived in Central Illinois my whole life, and if there's one thing I've learned, you don't have to go too far to find the beauty of the great outdoors. Come along with me as I visit a variety of parks and natural areas across Illinois, and share why you should take a hike to each episode's location. Adventure and fun await in Take a Hike, the mini-series. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Take a Hike, the mini-series. I'm your host, Lacey Spence, and today we are on the road in Springfield, Illinois. We've made it to Lincoln Memorial Garden and Nature Center. We've got a fabulous new guest to the show. We are just meeting Mr. Joel, the Executive Director. Welcome to Take a Hike. Please introduce yourself. What do you do here?
Yeah, my name's Joel Horwittle. I'm the Executive Director of Lincoln Memorial Garden and Nature Center. And today you're surrounded by kiddos because we do a lot of environmental education here out of our Nature Center.
No, that's awesome. It's nice to hear them getting excited, the next generation ready to get into the outdoors. So for people who maybe aren't familiar with the site, can you tell us a little bit about how it came to be?
Sure. So the garden history dates back all the way to the creation of Lake Springfield.
Okay.
Lake Springfield was created in the 1930s for drinking water for the city as well as to cool the power plant, because Springfield is one of the few municipalities that generates its own power. So at the time they were creating the lake, Harriet Knudsen, the garden founder, came up with the idea to create a living memorial to Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
So she approached the city council and asked them if they would consider it, which they did, and they approved it, and they offered her several different tracts of property around the lake to create this garden. So she went about searching then for someone to design it, and she came upon renowned landscape architect Jens Jensen. And
That's a big name.
It is a big name. And in landscape architecture lore, Jensen is one of the leaders of the pack for sure. So Jensen was a Lincoln fan, so the project really appealed to him. He was fairly old at that point of his life. He was in his 70s. And he traveled down from Wisconsin and looked at all the different sites and selected this one because it has one of the highest points of elevation on the lake.
Okay, gotcha. And so kind of paying homage to what the land looked like when Lincoln was around.
Sure.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So the idea that Jensen came up with was to plant it, the plantings would include plantings from the 3 states that Lincoln was lived in, which was Kentucky, Indiana, and of course Illinois. So we have plants from all 3 states that were originally planted here. This area was predominantly pasture. There was very few trees on the site. So as we look around today, you'll see that we have a pretty mature forest that's taken place over the last 80 years.
Yeah.
So as Jensen, after he chose this site, he began working on the plan. He presented the plan to Harriet in 1936, and then they began planting.
And so the rest is is it history then? I mean, it's
Well,
just the beautiful sight we see around us, or?
Sure. I mean, it obviously took a ton of work.
Yeah.
So this is, original track was 62 acres.
Okay.
So that was a lot of planting. So Harriet enlisted the help of garden clubs from around the state of Illinois, and different garden clubs were assigned different tracks within the garden and given instructions on what to plant. So the plantings took place, over the course of about 20 years. To the outsider, it looked a little bit unusual because, everybody wants to see immediate impact, and,
Yeah.
and a living garden like this takes many years to develop. So for many years, people joked and called it Harriet's Weed Patch.
No.
But I think now she has her sweet revenge because it's turned out beautifully. So the garden was dedicated in 1938. And from then on, really up and through the 50s, continual plantings occurred.
Sounds like a labor of love for sure.
It was a labor of love for Harriet. She spent the rest of her entire life up until 1969 out here.
Oh my goodness. Well, there's a lot to offer people in the community as far as coming to visit the site. Is there anything that you'd like to start as far as highlighting?
Sure. Well, today we have 110 acres total, so we've
Okay.
added on to that original 62. And throughout the garden, we have about just under 6 miles of hiking trails.
Okay.
They're all wood chipped, so they are fairly easy surface to walk on.
Nice.
We do have some paved trails for people with mobility issues, so we also encourage people with walkers or in wheelchairs to come on out because we have some trails that they can navigate as well.
That is so good to hear. We love when everybody can get to access nature. I tell you what, some sites that's one of their missions is to kind of get there. So it's nice to hear that you already have that in place.
Sure. So then tucked throughout the garden we have 8 council rings, which are stone rings, which is a hallmark of Jensen's design. All of his sites included the council ring because growing up he went to Danish folk school, and everybody sat in a circle, and so there was no head of the table. No one was more important than anyone else, and that really resonated with him. So in all of his works he included the council rings. So those are kind of located around the garden and provide an opportunity for people to relax, watch birds, they can rest while taking a walk.
Yeah. So we've covered trails and some places to take in some nature. You also have a lovely nature center here. Is there a lot of programming that comes with that, or what kind of information can people find in there?
Sure. Yeah, the Nature Center we built in 1965. That was Harriet's last project.
Okay.
Was to because she felt strongly that nature education was becoming important for kids as TV's use increased. Then she wanted to get kids outside.
Yeah.
So since 1965. It's been our mission then to educate kids about the importance of nature. So we run several different nature education programs for kids throughout the year.
Yeah.
Currently we're doing our Tiny Adventurers program, which you see here on the deck. And these are all pre-K kids that come out with their parents. They do a hike, they're taught a nature activity or craft. And just we try to emphasize, the importance of nature in one's life at an early age. And then throughout the rest of the year, we do a lot of different programs for kids as well. We have a summer ecology camp. It's an 8-week day camp that we do here.
Okay.
It's extremely popular. We have around 300 kids a summer that come through that program. We have what we call Babes in the Woods, which is for moms and newborns and babies to come out and take hikes. And that begins this month as well. And we do that 3 months in the fall and 3 months in the spring.
Okay.
And then of course we get a lot of school groups. So we're surrounded by Springfield and several surrounding communities that for decades have come here for field trips. So like Friday we have a large field trip planned, and they're second graders. So we try to design a program for age appropriate kids. We have about 100 volunteers who help with our hikes. We do a 1-to-10 student ratio. And then throughout the rest of the year, then we'll sprinkle in activities for adults. Like last weekend we had a edible mushroom class.
Ooh.
Coming up later this fall, we'll have a adult holiday craft with nature materials. program, and we have guest speakers, and we really just try to provide an opportunity for everyone to kind of come out and learn something about nature.
Oh, for sure. And we'll be talking about the Woodland Garden for Children here in just a little bit. As far as your proximity to the lake, so is there lake access here?
Yes, there is. The lake is directly behind us, and we have about 1,500 feet of lake shore, so we're right on the lake, and we're this strip of land. It's really long but fairly narrow. So I always tell everyone you can usually find your way out. No, we don't have too many people get lost because it is narrow, but it just kind of hugs the shore of the lake.
Yeah. And so if someone at home hasn't been out there yet, is there any sort of beachfront or fishing or anything like that, or no?
Well, we do have a lake trail which runs the entire expanse of our lake property.
Lovely.
That people can see the different sites, like Lindsay Bridge, the historic bridge in Springfield that crosses Lake Springfield, is visible from our lake trail.
Okay.
We don't allow fishing or swimming.
Okay.
But people are certainly welcome to enjoy the lake. And up at the far end, we have a cypress grove, which is also kind of unique to this area because you don't see a lot of bald cypress in our area.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was going to be one of my questions. So of all these trees and everything that have been planted, the other plants that we're kind of looking at, some wildflowers behind us, is there anything else that's maybe unique or a draw or worth looking for?
Sure. I mean, in fall, we're known for our fall colors. We have a lot of sugar maples on the property, which produce the beautiful yellows and oranges that everyone wants to see in the fall.
Very photogenic.
So in conjunction with that, we do an annual Fall Harvest Festival. It's a fundraiser for us, and that's an opportunity for everybody to come out and enjoy. We do live music, we have craft vendors, we have about 30 different nature activities set up for kids.
Yeah.
You can build your own scarecrow, paint a pumpkin, all kinds of fun activities. And then in the spring, we've been doing for over 50 years, we've been tapping maple trees and demonstrating how to make maple syrup, which is extremely popular. And so at the end of that, then we, in March of every year, we do a pancake sausage breakfast for another fundraiser for our event. So those two events, we're both historically have been doing for 50 plus years, and it's really neat because now grandparents bring their grandkids out to enjoy what they enjoyed as a child. So we kind of have that tradition between those two events.
That is so sweet. Now, as we were setting up earlier, we saw a group of wonderful volunteers who are here, I assume, to help educate some of these youngsters. How does somebody get involved if they wanted to volunteer here?
Well, they'll just reach out and give us a call or email and let us know kind of what their volunteer skill set is.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of retired teachers who are interested in helping out with our nature ed program. And then we have a lot of retirees who like to do manual labor. So we'll scoop them up too and put them on our grounds crew. So we only have 3 full-time employees and 2 part-time employees.
Oh, wow.
And then the rest we depend on volunteers. So we have about 200 active volunteers that help us with our different programs.
Gosh, teamwork makes the dream work, right?
That's right. We couldn't do it without them.
Now, what about conservation efforts? Is there anything people can get involved with, or cleanup days, or?
Sure, yeah, we are constantly doing, obviously, plantings.
Okay.
So we do plantings on a regular basis, and we're always looking for volunteers to help with that, because generally when we plant, we're planting hundreds of trees and shrubs at a time. So it is fairly labor intensive. We usually do that in the spring and the fall. We also offer trash pickup because we're on a main road. Unfortunately we do see quite a bit of garbage along the roadside, so we enlist volunteer groups to help keep the garden clean. And then we also do various other environmental programs just to educate people. Like we have several waterways that go through Lincoln Memorial Garden, so we try to be a good steward to the lake and practice good stream bank stabilization practices. And that's another thing that we try to educate people about as well.
And so making sure that the erosion is kind of cut down?
Correct.
Okay.
And there's not as much sediment that's going into the lake.
Gotcha. Well, as we are sitting here, again, I hope people at home can kind of hear some of the laughters and excitement about all of the outdoor enjoying that's happening here. As I was following the tour of children a little bit earlier, I came across a very large creature, a troll.
Yes.
Can you tell me about the troll? I hear there's might be more than one as
There
well.
are 2 trolls.
Okay.
And plans for a third.
Really?
So the Trolls is a neat partnership that we did with Springfield Art Association.
Okay.
Their educator came up with the concept. Trolls have been super popular. The trend started in Europe, and then an installation was done at Morton Arboretum up in Chicago, and then it kind of spread like wildfire. So you'll see several installations around the state, but ours were done by high school students as
Really?
part of a Springfield Art Association class. So we had volunteers do the skeleton part of the trolls, and then kids came out, high school kids came out for a 1-week class then and actually assembled it under the supervision of Aaron from the Springfield Art Association.
Well, that is too neat to have such a local connection with it. Whenabouts is the third one planning to be installed, maybe?
Next summer, we're going to do a third one here in the Children's Woodland Garden.
Awesome.
So it'll be a little bit smaller, but we're super excited to have a third one.
And for folks who aren't familiar with the grounds, where are they located? The 2 current ones?
The one is very close to the Nature Center.
Okay.
And the other one is across the road from our main parking area in the Collie Meadow. And there's a wood chip trail that leads directly from the parking area to the troll.
Awesome. So if people aren't familiar with kind of the layout, there is a road that goes through the site. Really quickly, can you kind of describe what is on one side of the road and what can they find on the opposite side of the road?
Sure. On the north side of the road is the historic garden, the original 62 acres. South across the road is a 10-acre open meadow that we call Collie Meadow, and that's where we host our fall festival.
Awesome.
And then we have different events throughout the year, live music, anything that we need big open space for, we use it for. So we partner with University of Illinois Springfield. They do their Star Watch programs out here because it is dark enough that you can see the night sky really well. So that's on the south side. And then further down the road, we have a restored farmstead property that we call the Ostermeyer Prairie Center. And that's just an old farm that with about 30 acres, and we've converted the ag fields to tall grass prairie. We have a trail down there, and then we also have erected a greenhouse that we utilize down there for plant propagation for the garden.
Wonderful. With all of this, I assume, are there a lot of good pollinators here to check out?
There are a lot of good pollinators, and we're known for our diversity of wildflowers. In the spring, we have a ton of wildflowers. We probably have more bluebells than you can believe. So spring is a great time to come out and visit, in addition to fall, just because of the beautiful spring colors.
Yeah. Well, and I always kind of have to ask, is there anything for folks to check out in winter?
Absolutely. If we get snow, which hasn't happened here recently, but in a normal time, yeah, we have great trails, so people love to cross-country ski throughout the garden. The trails are fairly flat. We do have a few hills in places, but it provides a great spot for cross-country skiing. And then there's nothing better than a winter walk in the woods.
Well, and when the leaves kind of drop off, you get just such a different perspective of what things look like around here.
Sure, and when the leaves drop, it's a lot easier to see all the critters that are enjoying the garden here.
I have to ask, what kind of critters can people maybe see?
Well, you can definitely see deer flying around, running around here. We've got a lot of fox that people see. Of course, the birding is amazing. We have a lot of birds, migrants especially, that come through the area, and we have squirrels, rabbits, all the normal critters you'd expect to find out in the woodland.
Sounds like you could do a little bingo card or something.
Yeah.
Is there anything about Lincoln Memorial Garden and Nature Center that I haven't asked about that you think is important for people to know?
Well, I think it's important to know that we are a nonprofit.
Okay.
And we don't receive any tax funding. So We exist on support from our donors who are very good to us, but
Yeah.
we're always looking for more.
Of course.
And we also are a membership organization, so we have annual memberships, and we rely on those for operating costs as well. So if you're interested and live in the local area, we'd appreciate people taking out a membership. We have a wonderful newsletter that comes out 4 times a year, and a lot of the newsletter writers are retired educators or even retired ID&R professionals with a background. So we really do have some great articles in our newsletter. And being a member, also you get early registration to all of our programs and members-only events as well.
And then just to make sure I understand, for a regular visitor, is it still free admission?
It is free to
Okay.
anyone.
So
Yep.
membership just steps things up.
Just steps things up,
Gotcha.
especially regards to our programming.
Gotcha. All right, well, we have covered the ins and outs of Lincoln Memorial Garden and Nature Center very well. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to check out a site that is definitely geared toward our younger nature lovers. So don't go anywhere, take a hike, we'll be right back.
And we are back. We can see we've got some young nature lovers behind us. So, Joel, can you tell us a little bit about the space that we're standing in now?
Sure. This is our new children's woodland garden that just opened this past summer.
Awesome.
This has been a project that's been many years in the making, and it was all paid for with private donations. So this project was aimed at getting kids outside into nature to provide an opportunity for them to do experimental play, climb a tree in a safe environment. We try to use as many natural materials in this as we could. This is a perfect example of a climber right
these
here.
are awesome.
So these were obviously, just tree stumps that we just put right in the ground, and kids have an opportunity to climb them. We have another climber over here, which is just a big cross section of a tree that died. And that's the cool thing about this. This will be ever evolving, because as these compose and decay, we can pull them out and plop something new in, and it may be a new shape and something different to try. So then scattered throughout here, we do have a few pieces of manufactured play equipment. We have a log tunnel, a turtle, a tree climber.
Yes.
We have musical instruments.
Say, during our main interview, I thought I heard a little like wind chime kind of coming through too.
Sure. Yeah, we've got a xylophone
like-
over here, and we have a couple of mushroom gongs located behind that. So yeah, this just tries to get kids to experience nature and learn that nature's not scary.
Yeah.
And it's okay to get your hands dirty, and that's what we want to see from kids. So then directly behind me, we added a deck with a covered patio area, so parents can relax if they don't want to engage in the play. And it provides them an opportunity to watch the kids, keep an eye on them, but also talk to the other parents who have their kiddos out here.
Right, make more play dates here at the lovely Lincoln Memorial Garden and Nature Center.
Yeah. So like I said, most of this stuff, the wood pieces came from here. These white oak benches came from a white oak tree that died, and we had those milled and incorporated them into the design. All of the boundary logs that you see were all just from trees that died, and we cut the branches of. So that's the whole perimeter of this site is from wood from the garden, which I think is kind of cool.
No, really, it is, to be able to have meaning to it. You know, it's not just something we brought in or whatever. To be able to reduce, reuse, recycle, those sort of things. Like, make the most of what you have.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we have another area to check out too that's got some splash to it. So let's go check that out.
So we have 2 water features. And again, the kids are just designed to come up with their own way they want to play with it. And you can see they have no problem coming up with creative ways. We have several mud tables, and we lay out buckets, and then the kids are encouraged to get their hands dirty. And we have a sink located conveniently over there by the deck, so cleanup is an option.
Yes, before you go home.
Yes.
You don't need to take the nature center home with you.
So then this water runs into this simulated stream, which runs down to this lower play area. And again, kids are encouraged to get in and explore in the stream. Then we have several tables down in the lower area and play features. The kids are encouraged to dig and splash and just have fun.
And you were telling me earlier that this water has been collected?
Yeah, we collect water from our roof and then also from our sump pump here, which is pretty active. We have a high water table here, and that helps feed the water features. And then additionally, we do have to mix in, regular city water as well. So, but yeah, we try to reuse as much as we can.
Yeah, again, making the most of what you've got. Is there anything else in the kids' play area that we didn't quite hit? Or do we cover it all?
I think that's pretty much it, yeah.
Wonderful. Is there anything you want to leave the viewers with before we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously, we don't have the water running year round, but generally from mid-spring to mid-fall, the water features will be on. But people are welcome to come out and enjoy it any time of the year.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Joel, so much for showing us around the Lincoln Memorial Garden and Nature Center. It's been a pleasure, and we hope our viewers will join us for the next episode and maybe consider checking out this wonderful site with a lot to offer, especially the young folks. We'll see you next time.
It's almost impossible to imagine life without internet today. It keeps us connected to work, school, and loved ones, no matter where they are. Fidium Fiber Internet now serves over 1 million locations, providing reliable, consistent service that keeps these connections strong. From vibrant cities to quiet rural areas, fiber broadband is a key driver of economic growth. Fidium is dedicated to supporting communities and enhancing lives through this essential technology. Learn more at fidiumfiber.com.
Take a Hike on WEIU is supported by Roll King, America's farm and home store, camping supplies, kayaks, fishing and pet supplies, and more. Find your store and more information regarding Roll King at rollking.com.